Good afternoon. It is 3 p.m. This is the Natural Resources, Agriculture, and Open Space Subcommittee. I am your chair, Delegate Regina T. Boyce, here with a big bad group of people ready to work. We've got 30 minutes and I'm going to use our time well, so I'm going to skip around the agenda. So I am going to start with HB 449. I'd like a motion to move unfavorable.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Recommendation unfavorable. And just to be clear, that is on there because it is a repeal of restrictions that have already been placed. And to speak about hunting and hours very briefly before, I got a good lesson by our counsel, Patrick Tracy, who is awesome. I should say we are really lucky to have not only him and Kristen, they are just staunch professionals and their heads are walking encyclopedias. So any provision that is already in law that allows Sunday hunting every day, like all hours, that's the law. Any new bills coming in requesting hunting and requesting Sunday hunting is subject to the times that we have established, this 30 minutes before dawn and then to 10:30. And so just so everybody knows that. We're going to go to HB 467. This is Delegate Otto's bill. He actually had 466 and 467. After talking to him and Patrick, and Patrick can also tell me to shut up and take over, but we believe that 467 is pretty much, as we do some small amendments, will be in 466, and I think he agreed to that. Is that correct? Did I get that right, Patrick?
That's correct, Madam Chairman.
So Patrick, do we want to go through?
Well, 467 is the full package, if you will. A number of counties have it. We'll have to add I think there's 5 days, Delegate Otto, is that right? 5 Sundays, current law?
Are you talking about 466?
No, 466, not
466. Remember, 467 is the turkey. We're pushing that provision in 466, which is the
I think 466 is the turkey.
Is the turkey.
No,
466 is the regular hunting. 467 is the turkey.
Oh, it is. Okay. Never mind. 466 is the one we want.
Yes. And I think we had a couple of amendments.
Well, the amendments would be to add the times to the new Sundays.
Yes. And so I'd like to have a motion to, yes, Teresa.
I don't know. So I thought the question was whether so what Sundays is it expanding this to? Because it's Sundays during season?
During the open seasons for the.
Only.
But only during the season for those animals.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
But also making sure, because we're doing this provision, we are making sure the hours are restricted to the Sunday hunting hours that has been agreed on. Delegate Delegate Teresa, are you finished?
I mean, unless you want comments, like I'm not sure why we're assuming, like, I appreciate that we're going to do time limits if we're going to do Sundays, but I don't really agree that we should be expanding to Sundays. Okay. For the same reasons discussed.
It's fair. Delegate Ruth.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So just to clarify, I think I understand, because Worcester County, and I know I'm saying that wrong, and I'm sorry, because they already have Sundays in deer season. Is that right? And so we don't want to put the time limit on deer season, but we're adding the other seasons on Sundays in this bill, and we're talking about amending it to add the time restrictions for those other seasons. Is that correct?
Time restrictions for new Sundays, not for existing Sundays.
Right. And so when you say existing Sundays, you mean deer season, because I read the bill and it seems like it's already allowed in deer season. Is that correct?
could be deer or turkey. I don't know if Worcester has turkey.
From what I understood, they didn't, which is why they were getting the second bill.
Yeah, they did.
That
Yeah, yes.
initiated the bill, I mean, to start with, but,
Delegate Ruth is right. They only have deer.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Any other questions?
I'd move the amendments and
So, yep. So, and just to be clear, the amendment is the time restriction from 30 minutes before dawn to 10:30. All in favor
On the new days, I'll second
on the
it.
new days?
I'll second it.
Any opposed? Delegate Tarasa?
I'm sorry, I thought you were saying for the amendment.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with the amendment.
Okay. Okay, the bill as amended.
So move.
Is there a second?
so
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any?
Opposed.
Okay. Bill carries favorable with amendments. And so that is 466. We are not taking up 467. The next bill I want to go through, Kristen, is 695.
This one, we received amendments. This bill relates to the Royal Maryland Prosperity Investment Fund. And the bill, as introduced, would have made some revisions to that fund, and it repealed the sunset provision. We did receive amendments that remove the funding provisions and allow this, they'll keep the sunset on the fund. And so the amendment bill only touches on the eligible uses of funding, and this would allow for workforce and business activities to receive grant funding.
Thank you, Kristen. Are there any questions about 695? And so just to be clear, before they were asking for additional funds, plus they were asking for a removal of the sunset, which is actually not until, I believe, 2030.
Correct.
Any questions? Would someone like to move the amendments?
So move.
Is there a
Second.
second?
Second.
All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
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 Any opposition? Oh, bill as amended.
So move.
Is there a second? All in favor of the bill as amended, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Bills favorable from the committee with amendments. All righty. Let's go to number 4, which might be a little controversial. So let me go to 1087. I just actually, right as we started, Delegate Anderton, thank you, Jesus, came in with his letter. I do have a copy of it. I'm sorry, I'm going to give it to everybody. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 6 individuals. He couldn't get the Speaker Pro Tem to agree to changing the hours of Sunday hunting to, again, the hours restricted that we have put in place for any new Sunday hunting days. And so they agreed that they are amenable to that. And therefore, because it was a delegation bill, they had to get another letter for that. Is there any discussion or any questions about this bill? Patrick, do you want to explain this one a little bit so folks are comfortable or not comfortable?
Well, this is what we were discussing before, the same thing. A quick second here just to make sure. Yeah, this is again the same as we did for Worcester, adding Wacomico to the list that, you know, any game, bird, or mammal in open season, there would be Sunday hunting, and any new Sundays with the amendment you just described would be half an hour before sunrise to 10:30.
Delegate Ruth, and then Delegate Tarasa.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I mean, I guess my question then is the same. Which Sundays is it that they already have that we're not adding the time restriction to?
The last 3 Sundays in October, first 2 Sundays in November, that's for the bow season. And
That's the deer bow hunting season, right?
the first Sunday in the shotgun season.
Okay. So those are the only Sundays that would have no time restrictions, and the other Sundays would have the time restrictions.
All new ones, yep.
I believe so.
Okay. Thank you.
You're quite welcome, Delegate Tarasa.
So I just want to make sure we're clear, like this also changes the safety zone.
Yes, it does.
So
But
can
I-
you tell me- Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Yes,
What?
She's right. It does reduce the safety
Yes.
zone to 50 yards
From what?
from probably 150.
it's usually typical.
All right,
Yeah.
well, I have a lot of concerns about that, but may just be me. I mean, there's,
I have concerns as well.
Okay, I mean, this is why we're here. We can discuss them. I mean, you have concerns. Can we be more elaborate?
what's that? I didn't hear you.
I mean, I'd like to hear that you have concerns, talk about what those concerns are.
My concerns are that we know that like bows go a lot further than 50 yards. And I think that puts surrounding people and surrounding properties in danger. And I think expanding the number of the counties where that's happening is problematic. We looked at it in Howard County, and I didn't like our bill, but we did pass a bill. We did it today that limited it only to manage deer hunts managed by Natalie could probably tell us, but that managed by either the county or DNR, is that what it is? And then, or farmers for crop protection. And I think that's a reasonable limitation. I don't think we should be doing this. I think that is, I think it's going to put neighbors in danger.
Jacobs? Delegate Jacobs?
Yeah, I just got to find my arrow there. Shoot an arrow in the air. Patrick, there are other counties that have 50-yard safety zones in existence now, isn't that correct?
Correct.
And I'm not looking at any sheets, so I don't know how many, but I know that several.
10.
Yeah, I knew it was several did, and I remember 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, where it was, we changed a lot of them. They reduced them to 50 then. So it is 10 that already have a 50-yard. So it's not, we're not adding something that's really radical. It takes place in a lot of counties, and I don't think there's been incidents of problems there that I'm aware of. Thank you.
And I want to be clear, as I read this, while it says it's an extension, it looks like it's just adding Wacomico to counties that already have 50 yards from a dwelling house, residence, church, or any other building or camp occupied by humans. Is that correct?
Correct.
So we're not changing the distance. We're adding them to individuals that can do archery from those distances.
Well, we're changing the distance in Wacomico County. Right?
Yes.
So I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. So a couple of things. One, I would say, like, we keep doing this. It doesn't mean it's safe. And I will say, in terms of the data out there, I've talked to DNR about this. They're not tracking this information. There's some confusion about who should be tracking any injuries to animals or people or any close calls, and they're not tracking that. They've agreed that they will start tracking it, but I think it's a dangerous direction to go in. And I've objected every year. And I think just adding to the places where we have a lack of safety doesn't make any sense. And just to piggyback on that, I mean, there's 10 counties that have it that way, but there's 10 counties that don't. So I'm strongly opposed to this.
Delegate Ziegler.
Sorry, thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say a couple things. One is that I really appreciate how scary it sounds. I really do. It sounds like a reckless, crazy thing. If you just think about, people are going to be shooting guns and arrows and what have you, 50 yards from somebody else's property. But the reality is, I am completely unaware in the entire time I have lived in Howard County of anything happening, whereas we have 1,000 car accidents a year. The car accidents are very real, not to mention the incredible environmental damage that deer do. And I also wanted to throw out that we rent out hunting rights on our property for the deer shotgun season. Well, for the whole deer season. And the insurance rider on my policy only costs $150 a year. And we're taking money, which creates a much higher standard. So that tells me that, if it was dangerous, it would be expensive. It's just not, hunters actually, it just doesn't happen. But I think it's a little bit like shark attacks, where, it's a terrifying concept, but it's actually very rare. So I just wanted to throw that out.
Thank you. We're going to have Delegate Ruth. We're going to have Delegate Otto, and that'll be the last. And we will hold this bill, and then we'll move to a next bill. Delegate Ruth.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I didn't really want to hold this bill up, but I do have also concerns about the archery zone, and I appreciate Delegate Ziegler's comments. But I do have concerns about the distance, and I think that I remember Delegate Guyton telling a story about a close call, but I couldn't swear to that. And just to clarify also that this is actually changing it, because on page 4, line 3, it says, except as provided in paragraphs 2 or 3 of this subsection, and that's 150 yards. So we're adding this to paragraph 3, which takes away the 150 and changes it to 50. I'm really torn on this bill, because I want to support the adding the Sundays with the time restriction, but I do have concerns about the.
Well, that's fine, Delegate Ruth. We're going to hold the bill anyway. Delegate Otto.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This is a local bill affecting Wycomico County. I voted for a bill affecting Howard County earlier. I appreciate Delegate Ziegler's comments and understanding the implications for controlling the deer population. And I would like to move the bill, but hopefully we can do it squarely tomorrow. But this has been vetted by the county council, by the county executive, and they are the ones that requested it. So I thank you.
I appreciate that. And with that, I'm going to move on. I want to go to HB 631. Kristen, I think we got about.
Yeah, so House Bill 631 is establishing land conservation goals. These are statewide goals to conserve 30% of lands by 2030 and 40% of lands by 2040. There's a grant, 40 by 40 land conservation implementation grant program that's being created to implement these goals. It establishes a local land trust revolving loan program to provide loans to purchase property to certain land trusts that have traditionally had difficulty accessing program open space money. It also establishes a structure for awarding certain stewardship grants under the Maryland Environmental Trust. We have amendments, and the amendments are eliminating the mandated funding. So it becomes just authorized funding in the language. And it also allows for the transfer of funding from overattainment of program open space money to the revolving loan program.
Any questions, thoughts? Mr. Otto?
We're dipping into open space again.
There's, well, for the overattainment. So if revenues exceed for 2023, they would allow that overattainment of the program open space funds to be transferred. It would allow for it to be transferred to the revolving loan fund.
So
it's not a shall.
No, it's not a shall.
Thank you, Madam.
Delegate Tarasa.
I think it's a good bill, and I would like to move it forward.
Okay, so we would need to, council, move the amendments first, correct?
Correct.
Move the amendments.
Is
Second,
there a second? All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
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 Any opposition? Bill as amended.
Move the bill.
Is there
Second,
a second? All in favor of the amended bill, say aye.
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 Any opposition? Bill moves favorable by the committee with amendments. We will, I'd like to meet tomorrow because the other two bills we do need to discuss. The bill we just discussed, HB 1087 and HB 934. There are some clarifications that the sponsor has given us amendments, but there are additional amendments that I talked to DNR about that clarifies even further. And I will say that we are going to limit this bill to Sitka deer only. And so with that, we'll think about that. And then I'll get Leslie to see when we can meet again tomorrow. And hopefully we can knock out these two with full discussion, as well as anything else pending between Kristen and Patrick's list. Thanks so much, guys. See you on the floor.